presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are LA.
All right, overcast skies here in Pittsburgh. The Angels trying to make it 2 in a row. They had a fantastic win last night, pitching defense and offense. Today it is game 2 from PNC Park. Hi, everybody, from outside PNC Park. I'm Victor Ross along with Mark Gubas. Glad you could join us once again for Angels baseball here on Fox Sports West. We are on the Riverwalk. This just outside the walls. It leads all the way through the Roberto Clemente Bridge. Just wanted to give you a little bit of a nice little different perspective, if you will. I'm sure you enjoy this view.
Victor, this is unbelievable. This ballpark, first time here last night and here today, be able to see all the different nooks and crannies of this ballpark. This is a legit baseball field. A lot of fun. The atmosphere, the fans, everything about this place, top notch.
Clearly fun for the Angels last night on the offensive side, but in this series we get a chance to see two very, very good ball players, Andrew McCutchen, Mike Trout.
Yeah, Victor, we talk about, in my opinion, two of the best players in all of baseball. You got McCutchen and Trout. Both of them been in the top 5 as far as MVP last 4 seasons. Only 2 players to do so at this particular point. They can do things with the glove. They can do it with the wheels. They got good throwing arms, but they crush the baseball. They put the ball in play. Watching these 2 guys go at it here in this series, even today, it's going to be a lot of fun because, in my opinion, like I said, 2 of the best premier players in the game.
We're continuing to get you ready for game 2 of this 3-game set. Andrew McCutchen, Mike Trout, just a couple of the favorites on the field today. We're just about ready for baseball here in Pittsburgh. Sit back, relax, and bring you the lineups in the first pitch when we return.
This telecast of Angels baseball on Fox Sports West is brought to you by Hyundai. Great deals on amazing cars are going on now at your Hyundai dealer. Visit buyhyundai.com today. By Jack in the Box, the Portobello Mushroom Buttery Jack is back. Taste it before it's gone. By Mercury Insurance, on a mission to save you money. Log on to mercuryinsurance.com to get a fast free quote and see how much you can save. And by the Jeep Renegade. Find your inner Renegade and reach your highest potential with an EPA estimated 31 highway miles per gallon. No, Muhammad Ali last night passed away at the age of 74. The greatest of all time, self-proclaimed and certainly affirmed by many around the world. A great loss to this to the world, really, when you start to think about it. Great man, great fighter, and just a great humanitarian. 74 years of age. Park, game 2 of this 3-game set against the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pirates have taken the field. The Angels trying to make it 2 in a row and pick up a series win today. A couple shuffles, of course, last night with the pitching rotation because of the injury to Nick Tropiano. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But as Jeff Locke gets his warm-up pitches on, check out Mike Scioscia's starting lineup for the Angels with the victory last night. Now 25-29 of the season. They're tied for 3rd in the American League West, 7 games back. And Yunel Escobar will lead things off and play 3rd. Cole Calhoun at right. Mike Trout at center, Albert Pujols at first base, Johnny Giavatella at second base, Carlos Perez behind the plate. It's Gregorio Petit, the shortstop. Jhoulys Chacin batting 8th, and he is on the mound. And Shane Robinson had a big game for the Angels last night. He is back in left field, batting 9th as they take on the 28-year-old left-hander, native of Conway, New Hampshire. His name is Jeff Locke.
And Jeff Locke's had a solid season, very good start last time out against the Miami Marlins, which went 9 innings of shutout baseball. My go-to is to be successful against Locke. Same middle approach. We saw that last night as far as using a big part of the field and track baseball from his hand. A little bit different type of delivery, so don't get caught up in the legs, arms, glove. Look for the baseball out of his hand.
Check out the Pirates defensively today. It's Marte, McCutchen, Polanco in the outfield from left to right. Gung, Mercer, Harrison, and Jaso from 3rd to 1st. Chris Stewart making his 2nd straight start behind the plate.
And Harrison at second base. He's played a number of positions very well defensively for the Pirates. Has settled in as a second baseman. Has turned 37 double plays this season, which is at the tops as far as second baseman in the National League. Primarily a right fielder in 14, third baseman in 15. Now a second baseman here in 2016.
Warm, muggy afternoon. This 4 o'clock start here on the East Coast. Chance of some thunder showers a little bit later on. Yunel Escobar ready to lead things off. Angels last night 15 total hits in the 9-2 victory. Escobar had 2 of those hits, going 2 for 5. Locke's first one today is cut on and lifted into foul territory, and this one will go foul. Out of play. 0-1 count. Yunel hitting .307 with 3 home runs and 15 runs batted in. Has 12 doubles as well. Locke making his 11th start of the season. 4-3 mark, a 4.33 ERA. As Gibby mentioned, coming off a very good start. 3-hit complete game against the Marlins. That was on Monday. 8-game winner a season ago. 30 starts.
His fastball is going to generally settle in 89 to 93. Very good curveball. Changeup is go-to pitch, especially against right-handed batters. Occasional slider.
Missed inside, and it's 2 balls and a strike. Angels facing back-to-back lefties. Last night it was Francisco Liriano, could not find the strike zone. And it cost him dearly as the Angels scored 3 times in the first, never looked back. 4 walks for Liriano. As Escobar bounces this one over to Gung, the 3rd baseman. 1 down. So here comes Cole Calhoun.
So I guess when you hit a home run like Cole Calhoun, it says welcome to my house. So I guess it's his house right now.
Yep. He had a blast last night, his 5th of the season. He went 2 for 4. Also drew 2 walks. Halos worked 10 walks in the game. I guess you could phrase that either way. They worked 10 walks. They were gifted 10 base runners because they weren't even close.
Pittsburgh with the shift on now for Cole Calhoun. We're rated about at middle of the pack as far as putting on shifts. Season 337, which is 14th in baseball.
And he drives this one out to center field, chasing McCutchen back, still racing back. He's at the wall. That is gone. Big fly for Cole Calhoun, and the Angels have a 1-0 lead. Play that song again.
Yeah, I guess it is his house. Boy, and that swing, what a perfect swing for Cole. His 6th home run, back-to-back games for home runs in this ballpark for Cole Calhoun. And it's certainly worthy of a Carlos Cam replay for Cole Calhoun. The Cal boom to center field for Cole. He's got that foot down, and boy, he's able to clear those hips and get the barrel of the bat out to dead center field for a solo shot. Angels on the board early again here at PNC Park.
Trout takes a strike.
It's only the 2nd home run that Locke has allowed to left-handed batters this season.
Trout hitting .318, 12 home runs, 41 runs batted in, 11 doubles, 1 triple. 3-hit game last night, on board 5 times as he picked up a couple of walks. Fouls this one back. This, of course, first appearance for the Angels against Locke.
Monday key for this game. We're going to a little Christina Aguilera from Pittsburgh area. The voice within telling yourself to stay back against Locke. He does throw a lot of fastball, but he does have a plus changeup. And simplifying that approach at the plate. We saw it last night. You see that swing from Cole. Trying to see that throughout again today for the Angels hitters against the Pirates.
Can you hit one of those Christina notes for us just to give us a sample?
I might give you a woo later on today.
You promise?
Nature Boy, yes.
Not like last night, though, right? Because that wouldn't have been a perfect time.
No, we got it settled in today.
Settle in. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Trout.
Didn't want to fall into the river over there during our opening, so I just wanted to make sure I was under control today.
I still think you should have taken the Nestea plunge. Trout rolls it foul.
Yeah, I thought about it too. For a second.
Had plenty of time to go back to the hotel and change.
Yes.
1-0 Angels on a Cole Calhoun home run to straightaway center. Now just to the right of straightaway center. 388 feet is what they're saying. Called strike 3. And that's out number 2. Chris Stewart thinks it's out number 3. And Stewart.
It's a little easier path to throw to third base. I think that's what it was.
Stewart made it all the way to the dugout. And all Clint Hurdle had was 2 fingers. Saying there was 2 outs.
And that wasn't a strike either against Trout.
Not even close.
Maybe that's why Stewart ran over quickly, just in case he rethought about the strike zone.
Oh, man. Bach and Bob Davidson called the balls and strikes today. Lance Barrett at first, Dan Isonia at second, Dale Scott over at third. Not even with the 2-iron can you hit that ball. This one lifted out toward right center. Not very deep. Polanco moves over, makes the catch, and the Angels are done here in the first. But Cole Calhoun gives the Angels a 1-0 lead on his 6th of the season. That's what Jhoulys Chacin will take to the mound. Second place in the National League Central, 9.5 games back at the Chicago Cubs with a 29-25 record. And this is the lineup that he runs out this afternoon. Jaso, McCutchen, and Polanco, the top third of the order. Marte, Gung, and Harrison, the middle third. Jordy Mercer seeing action for the first time in the series as his short. Stewart behind the plate and Locke, of course, the pitcher. Batting ninth, taking on Jhoulys Chacín, making his 5th start of the season for the Angels. 1-1, 3.42 ERA, and coming off a complete game victory his last time out.
Well, his slider was very good. His 2-seam, 4-seam fastballs, excellent. My go-tos for Chacín to be successful, though, is slip slider away. Use that slider often, and great pace again. He had an outstanding pace last time out. Never moved off that pitching rubber.
Locked horns with Justin Verlander in that start against the Tigers. The first one today is down low for ball one. Chacín was scheduled to start tomorrow afternoon against Garrett Cole, but Nick Tropiano was scratched last night, and today we found out he was placed on a 15-day disabled list with discomfort in his right shoulder. MRI showed no structural damage. And Tropiano saying that he feels that the 15 days should be more than enough. Mad hops for Chacín there as he snags that one for Jaso, from Jace, I should say. And there's out number one. Let's check out the Angels defensively. It's Robinson, Trout, and Calhoun in the outfield from left to right. Escobar, Petit, Giavatella, and Pujols from third to first. Carlos Perez once again behind the dish.
Cole Calhoun out in the right field, especially with this 21-foot wall here at PNC Park. Very good in the outfield. Gold Glove winner last season. 2 outfield assists this season so far. Has started all but 1 game for the Halos in right field.
Andrew McCutchen hitting .254 with 9 home runs, 23 RBIs, takes ball one. 1 for 4 game last night with a single. Bucks with 8 hits on the evening, scoring 2 runs, and those were on solo home runs against Jared Weaver, who picked up his 5th win of the season. The sun comes out, and this one's grounded to short. 2 down.
Good to see some ground ball action right away for Chacín. Nice fielding play, the first play of the game, then a ground ball right to short. Again, a lot of those breaking balls or cut fastballs he was throwing last game out off the end of the bat. Take the sting out of the swing for Chacín.
Had 10 strikeouts in that start against the Tigers, allowing 4 hits.
Maybe I got that sting of the swing when we see a big B right above us right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that looked really comfortable right now.
You looked really comfortable watching that thing fly by us.
Yeah, big fan of bees, no question.
Polanco hitting .311, 8 home runs, 36 runs batted in. Pirates right fielder had a 1 for 3 game last night with a single. This one's bounced into the shift. That's Petit. That was Johnny Giavatella to move aside, and 3 ground ball outs and a shutdown inning. We head to the second. Angels up 1-0. Love the all-new Fox Sports app. Get highlights, interviews, injury updates, scores, and instant alerts on your favorite teams and rivals. Download now at the iTunes Store, Google Play, or visit foxsports.com/app. Johnny Giavatello leading things off, and he will take a strike. Giavatello, Perez, and Petit for the Angels here in the second. Johnny hitting .282. After picking up a couple of singles last night, 2 for 5, also had 2 runs batted in, 17 RBIs on the season. He drives this one out to the alley in left center field. Moving over is Marte, and he makes the catch. Nice play by the left fielder.
Yeah, we talked about that last night, the coverage they have in the outfield here for the Pirates. Marte, McCutchen, Polanco, a lot of coverage. Ball was hit very well by Giavatello. Thought maybe for a second that had a chance to go into the alley, work its way all the way to that 410 side.
One out for Carlos. He takes low. Perez hitting .207, a couple of home runs and 13 runs batted in. Carlos with a double and a single last night, lifts this one out to right. That's Polanco putting it away for round number 2. Brings up Gregorio Petit. Hey folks, you can host a business function or celebrate a special occasion in your own private suite at Angels Stadium. Suite rentals offer all-inclusive food and beverage packages. Visit angels.com/suites for more information. Petit, a .238 average in the year, 5 doubles, 5 runs batted in. 1 for 3 last night with an RBI double. He skies this one on the infield. That's Harrison. Second baseman calling for it. Block with a quick 1-2-3 second inning. Into the bottom of the frame. Angels up 1-0. Just beyond the outfield wall, the old river, the Allegheny.
Yes, indeed.
Having some fun out there.
Oh, yes.
Their version of tailgating. Hey, stay tuned later tonight at the postgame show for the Business of Sports, brought to you by AutoNation.com and powered by Toyota Buena Park. Marte, Gong, and Harrison face Chacin. Left fielder hitting .319 with 5 home runs, 20 runs batted in.
Head of the count right now for Chacin against Marte. Very good hitter. Batting average at .500 on middle pitches, which is 5th best in the majors. So now you got a chance to expand the strike zone, force yourself into that spot right now as a pitcher. If you're behind in the count, you have to go middle. Now you can span away.
So he's the anti-Rod Carew.
Yeah.
Rod Carew, you throw it down the middle for him to get himself out.
Exactly.
Right? Marte, that might not be a good idea.
Yeah, that was a real comfortable scouting report. Throw it right down the middle.
This one's driven out toward right center field, tailing away from Trout. This pull up, and this one is off the top of the wall. Marte just missing a home run. Instead, he'll settle for a double on a pitch just off the middle part of the plate.
Exactly. You can see that swing he has slightly just away from the middle part of the plate, especially trying to go inside. You can see him reaching across the plate. Carlos Perez missed location from Chacin, and it ends up being off the wall. Real close to going out, just below that yellow stripe. Yeah, when you miss location like that too, I think when you're ahead of the count on Marte, I think you have to think in terms of that hard slider. It's such a good pitch for Chacin. Finish him off that way.
Jung Ho Kang, the third baseman, up. He swings first pitch and shoots one out to deep left center field. Trout will pull up, and that is into the bullpen. Second straight game that Kang has homered. He did it last night in the second inning, and he does it again today. It's 2-1 Pittsburgh.
Marte and Kang last night had back-to-back big-time swings. Almost went back-to-back again today. Marte just below the yellow stripe in right center field, but Kang this time hits it out to left center field into the bullpen. Gets that foot down to high leg kick, generating a lot of power. Talk about getting the barrel of the bat in the lift on that baseball and into the bullpen.
So a double followed by a home run. Nobody out. Josh Harrison takes a strike. Harrison, the second baseman, hitting .311 with a couple of home runs, 25 runs batted in. For Kang, that's his 8th home run. Harrison behind in the count now at 0-2.
Victor, I still think that's a carryover for his pitch he made to Marte, because he was upset with himself. Supposed to go inside with his fastball, drifted out over the plate. And what we've seen when he has struggled, it's the difference between his 4-seam fastball and 2-seam fastball, cutting and sinking not exactly the same way.
Back toward the middle, Petit gloves it, but you're not going to throw out Harrison. So make it 3 straight hits now. Still looking for that first out. They'll bring up Jordy Mercer, the shortstop. Chacin, by the way, making his 6th start in his career against the Bucks. 2-3 and a .534 ERA. First start against Pittsburgh since 2013. Mentioned this last night. Worth mentioning it again. Second highest batting average at home in Major League Baseball for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Red Sox lead the world hitting at home. Mercer seeing action for the first time. 29-year-old hitting .265 with a home run and 19 runs batted in. He'll take a strike. The .244 last season for the Bucks. Former 3rd-round pick of Oklahoma State.
.357 career hitter against the Angels.
Ground ball to the right side. Albert will take it himself. Harrison advances to second. There's the first down of the inning. The one out, though, the man in scoring position, I should say, Chris Stewart at the plate. 184 average for the catcher. 3 doubles, a home run, and 4 RBIs. Francisco Cervelli hit by a pitch a couple of nights ago in Miami. Still is yet to see action. David Freese out for the series. Also hit by a pitch. One ball, no strikes. 2-1 Bucks here in the second. In case you're wondering, Chacin's on normal rest because of the off day on Thursday. Would have had the extra day had he pitched yesterday, or tomorrow I should say, because he got moved up today. Same goes for Hector Santiago tomorrow. He'll get to start tomorrow against Garrett Cole. And the Angels will need a starter apparently for Tuesday. Tim Lincecum scheduled to pitch Tuesday at AAA, but he's going to make that start at AAA. From what we have been told. Someone got crossed up. 3 balls, no strikes.
You're going to see Lincecum very soon. And this is more of a product of a pitcher being on deck. Although early in the game, most times you're going to go after the number 8 hitter. Trust in your offense. You don't want to add any extra base runners.
And a 4-pitch walk puts 2 on to face Jeff Locke, the pitcher.
Locke with 3 sacrifice bunts this season. I think this is one of those situations right now for a sacrifice bunt attempt.
Halo's thinking that way, and now a little conversation. Rick Sofield, the third base coach. Now, whereas you normally would see an American League pitcher just square up the bunt and try to sacrifice in those type of situations, National League guys, because they swing the bats so often, you always see you trying to not hit and run, but more of a slap at it, try to get it past it and drawn in infield. The infield is drawn in right now.
So I think when you think about interleague play, the National League teams, when they're at their home ballpark, I believe they have a huge advantage.
Agreed.
And you would think, okay, when you're back to the American League, well, they have guys on their bench that because of double switches, they're getting a lot more at bats, so they're comfortable in that DH role as compared to pitchers in the American League hitting in National League ballparks.
Showing bunt once again. This one's out in front of the plate. 2 down.
It was a real good read by Harrison to get over there quickly. That was one of those plays as a catcher when you get out of your crouch position to be able to jump on that bunt. Wasn't a perfect bunt, but still a good read and a good jump down to get in his third base. 2 runners now in scoring position on that bunt, sack bunt for Luck.
There's John Jaso, the first baseman, who bounced back to the mound. His first at bat. It's up to count at a ball and a strike. Jaso came to prominence as the leadoff man under Joe Madden to Tampa Bay Rays. Odd to see a catcher at that point, which was Jaso was playing quite a bit of in that leadoff spot. bounces this one to the right side. Pujols barehanded feeds Chacin, and Jolis limits the damage to 2 runs on that blast by Gong. We head to the third. Angels down 2-1. The score of 2-1. 8-9-1 coming up for the Angels to face Jeff Locke. It'll be Chacin, Robinson, and Escobar. Cole Calhoun with a solo home run in the first inning. And then Jung Ho Kang, a 2-run blast after the double by Marte. Leading off the second, putting the Pirates on top, their first lead of the series. Kang with his 8th home run of the season. Guy had 15 home runs last year for the Bucks.
He got some serious power to hit a ball that far to left center field. That high leg kick, getting that foot down to be able to get the barrel of the bat on the baseball. We've seen it now 2 days in a row, squaring up a baseball very well.
Jolis Chacin 2 for 8 in the National League this year, 0 for 4 with the Angels. Flares this one out to left center field. Mercer's not going to get there, and it'll fall in for a base hit.
You talk about getting that sandwich out and flaring that right there with it checked up right on him. Looks like a line drive in the box score for Chacin. Pitch away, down, and flares it left center field for a base hit. Type of shot you need at the U.S. Open.
Coming up in a couple weeks.
That greens that quick.
Robinson will take a strike. Saying last night, a couple of hits. RBI. Picked up a stolen base. 231 now with 3 runs batted in. Outfield playing shallow against the Angels left fielder. Chopper toward third. Gang's play is to first. So 1 out, man in scoring position now for Yunel Escobar. Mentioned Jeff Locke making his 11th start of the season. Originally drafted by the Atlanta Braves in the 2nd round back in '06. At a high school known as the Redstone Rocket in high school. Redstone was an area in Conway, New Hampshire.
All right.
Ball in the dirt. Chacin stays at second. He came over to the Bucks. Part of the Nate McLouth trade. Some notable MLB players out of New Hampshire. Mike Flanagan. Your guy Bob Tewksbury.
Oh yes.
Big fan of yours.
No question.
Chris Carpenter. 1 ball, 1 strike. Tewksbury's a bowler, isn't he?
Yes. One time hit me in the back with a curveball in a spring training game.
Really?
At least I got on base.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Helps your on base percentage.
Yes, it does. That was the only time I was on base, so I was very happy with that.
Tried to throw you a curveball with 2 strikes.
Yeah, I just leaned in. Word.
2 balls, 1 strike.
A lot of times for Locke, he will throw an all-speed pitch behind in the count. And Escobar has been very good this season. .330 batting average on off-speed pitches, which is second best in the majors.
– 3-1 count. Escobar grounded out to Gung in the first inning. Calhoun on deck. 1 strikeout for Locke. That was of Trout looking. This one's ripped out to the alley in left center field. It's a base hit. Chacin will come in to score. Marte, a nice job to cut it off. Escobar's trying to go to second, and the throw short hops Harrison. And this game is tied at 2. Escobar will get credited with a double.
It's so good having Escobar back in this lineup. So consistent with his swing. Talk about a pitch right down the heart of the plate. That's exactly where that pitch was from Locke. And Escobar made him pay for it. A line shot in the left center field. Marte ran over to cut it off. Quickly got that baseball in, but a 1-hop, tough hop. Harrison in second allows Escobar to get in scoring position himself.
Yeah, the ball got to the bag or near the base long before Escobar did. Fortunately, short hopped and went up Harrison's arm. 13th double, 16th RBI for Escobar. 2-2 tie, and here's Cole, who homered in his first at bat. He pulls this one toward right field. Polanco, long run, still going, and he'll reach up with those long strides, make the catch. Escobar rounded third and is easily doubled up with Trout on deck. The Angels tie it up as we head to the bottom of the 3rd.
Seat brought to you by Kia. Drew McCutchen coming to the plate. MVP for the Pirates. Take a look at some of the MVP winners in Pirate history. including Roberto Clemente, Dave Parker, Willie Stargell, Barry Bonds, multiple times. Andrew McCutchen, Dick Rote, won it back in 1960. Tradition, a lot of tradition here with the Pirates, a lot of winning tradition. Some big-time players over the years wearing that uniform.
Andrew McCutchen to lead things off, followed by Gregory Polanco, Starling Marte, honoring the 1979 We Are Family Pirates today. Omar Moreno, the Candyman, John Candelaria.
Former Angel. Omar Moreno, my teammate in Kansas City. Came in a trade in the beginning part of September. Big reason why we got to the postseason that year. He hit close to 400, but unable to be on the roster because it was after September 1 for Moreno. Talk about a nasty lefty. That arm angle he threw at. John Candelaria. Mike Scioscia.
McCutchen takes a strike, and it's 2-1. Pirates center fielder 0 for 1 as he grounded out to short his first at bat. Two balls, 2 strikes. McCutchen clearly didn't like that pitch, and it was off the plate. Full count. Here's the payoff. Oh, nice breaking ball. Down goes McCutchen, 1 away.
That's that slider we were talking about as far as go-tos today for Ciacchin to be successful. That was a nasty slider. Especially when you establish a fastball early in the at-bat. Look how sharp that break is at the end. Starts on the outside corner, then off the corner for a swing and miss. First punch out of the game for Ciacchin.
There's Polanco, grounded out his first time up. Takes a strike. Good crowd on hand here at PNC Park. They're giving away the fedoras today.
By the way, they look pretty good.
Yeah. There it is.
Yes.
It's one way to wear it. There's another. Fedora's got Danny DeVito written all over.
Oh, no doubt.
I love the 3 rings.
That is fantastic.
Yeah. They used to give away the stars too, and they had the stars all over the hat.
Yes, indeed. As a Philadelphia Philly fan growing up, it was always fun to see those stars on those hats.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
See, now as a grown man, you think it's cool. Back when you were a kid, you're like, Pirates, whatever.
Yeah, not a big fan.
Nice uniform. Polanco bounced the foul. Well, you had something to be happy about in the state of Pennsylvania. 1979, 1980.
1980, yes.
Yeah. The Pirates in 79. The Phillies over the Kansas City Royals, 1980.
79, they beat the Orioles, though. I was kind of a fan of the Baltimore Orioles.
That's right. You're a Jim Palmer guy.
Yes, indeed.
Pulled foul.
Nice play.
Good little battle here between Polanco and Ciacchin. Polanco's been on a tear of late. Last 16 games at 365 with 17 runs batted in.
When a lot of off-speed pitches, whether curve or slider in, you would think at some point in the sequence you might try a two-seam fastball, run it down and away. He's looking to turn on the pitch. See if he can get off the end of the bat and roll one over to the right side of the infield.
Chacin was ready to go, but Howard had tossed the ball over to an Angel fan in the first row, and the ball fell on the warning track, so he had to go get it. Full count.
He tried the fastball just a little bit off the corner, though.
Oh, nice catch by a fan in the second deck. And a fist pump, too, when he caught it. A lot of souvenirs for Polanco here in this at-bat. And this one hit to Givatello. 2 down.
Boy, Polanco can get down that line quickly.
Yeah. Got those long strides. Wow. Talented player, just 24 years of age. Starting Marte, the left fielder up. He doubled high off the wall in right center field to lead off the second. His 18th double of the year. Scored on the gung home run.
Great numbers in interleague play, too. This Pirate team, a good core of young players. Plus, they have a pretty deep farm system, especially some power arms you're going to see before too long at the major league level.
One drilled out to left center field. Trout's not going to get this one. That's into that notch area. Marte's going to try to go to third. He's rounding second. The relay throw is not in time. Marte with his first triple of the season. It comes with 2 outs here in the 3rd inning.
That's his 5th hit in the series so far. Take a look at our AT&T high-speed replay. Squared up that baseball right at that 410 sign. Turned on the afterburner. Cuts that angle very well and slides in there for his first triple of the season.
Mislocation once again. Perez wanted that pitch down and away. Right over the heart of the plate. Here's Gong, who homered in the 2nd inning, his 8th home run of the season. Now with 21 runs batted in.
Be careful on that first pitch against him. He's very aggressive.
Breaking ball for a strike.
Boy, Marte last night, a home run, single, double. So far in this game, double and a triple. And some sound off the bat, too. So far you're seeing from Chacin, he's having a tough time getting that fastball in. Again, he missed out over the plate trying to throw the fastball in. Carlos Perez is even setting up further off the inside corner so he doesn't miss out over the plate, but still missed badly on the ground.
Two balls, one strike.
What you've seen a couple starts ago was missing location with both his 2-seam and 4-seam fastball, kind of get caught in between. That was supposed to be a 2-seamer away, ran up and in.
Breaking ball of beauty.
Go-to pitch for him, and it's nasty.
2-2. Popped him up. Giavotella backpedaling out, calling for it. Third out is recorded, and that triple stranded at third base. 3 in the books. We're tied at 2.
Bottom of the 4th. Now here's today's Cold Hard Facts, which are brought to you by Clean, Crisp, Where's Light with Mike Trout coming to the plate. 4-time All-Star. He leads the AL as far as outfielders in votes this year. Only player ever named All-Star Game MVP in 2 straight years. 2014 and 15 for Trout.
Leading things off here, and he will take that pitch inside. Trout struck out looking on a pitch way off the plate in the first. The only strikeout Locke has picked up. No walks, 3 hits allowed. Pulled foul. 1 ball, 1 strike. Halos with solo runs in the first and third. Pirates with 2 in the second on the home run by Gunn.
And they're trying to go upstairs with a fastball. Mike Trout this season hitting .417 on high pitches this year, which is 3rd best in the majors. Right into his hand and his swing.
Caught the inside corner. Evens a count of 2 balls, 2 strikes. Pujols on deck, then Giavotella. 2-2. This one down the line, slicing foul and out of play. Carry to that ball. Just 320 down the right field line. 325 down the left field line, but then from left the wall juts out very quickly. It's a short ball. There's the 21-foot high wall in right. Full count.
And for the norm, Trout seeing a lot of pitches. Averaging 4.51 pitches per plate appearance this year.
Millville Meteor taking on the Redstone Rocket. It's a battle of the ages right here.
Yes.
The Rocket won the first round. This one bounced foul.
Might have got a little help on that one, though.
Oh, there's no doubt. A W with an asterisk.
Yes. First at bat, 8 pitches seen. Second at bat, already 8 pitches seen for Trout. He will set you up on occasion. We talked about it last night when he jumped on the first pitch There will be a point in this game where he's going to have the pitcher set up thinking to throw a fastball for a strike, and Trout will be all over it.
Another 3-2. Trout lifts this one out to right. Polanco back a couple of steps. One down. Every fan matters. Angels take it on the Indians Friday night. That is June 10th at 7:05. Fans in attendance will receive a one-of-a-kind cooler bag courtesy of your Colt probiotic drink while supplies last. Just go to angels.com/promotions to get your tickets.
It's one of a kind.
One of a kind. The old two-seamer cooler bag.
Yes.
A lot of Angel fans in attendance. Saw quite a few down the Riverwalk while we were taping our open.
We even saw a few Cavalier fans going by us.
Apparently.
Yes.
This one pulled past Gung. That's a base hit for Albert. He's 1 for 2 on the afternoon.
I guess they were under the impression that because we have an Angel shirt on, we're going to be rooting for the Golden State Warriors, I guess.
Whatever.
Yes. Albert, this is another hit against the Pirates, by the way. Albert, consistent with his swing against the Pirates. 360 career hitter coming into the game against the Pirates. He's had another base hit.
I think Albert could pull off that John Jaso look if he wanted to. Giavotella up. Johnny takes a strike. Giavotella 0 for 1 with a fly ball to left.
I think you could do it too.
There's no doubt.
Yeah.
I think I might do it in the offseason. I'm gonna Snapchat you from the Caribbean this offseason.
It would be a fantastic look for you.
Yeah. Giavotella grounds this one to Gog. Nice play by the third baseman. That's a 5-4-3 round the horn, inning-ending double play. 1 to the bottom of the 4th, still tied at 2.
Greater coverage of baseball. Big games in the majors today. The White Sox. The Tigers 2-1. The White Sox picking up James Shields from San Diego. Kansas City taking on Cleveland. Cleveland's played very well against the Royals last couple of games. And big game up there in St. Louis is San Francisco. The Giants, the Marjo on the mound going against the Cardinals.
Yeah, the Padres get right-handed pitcher Eric Johnson and infielder Fernando Tatis Jr. from the White Sox for Shields and Cash. Not Johnny.
How about Dave?
Not Norm either. 2-2 tie, bottom of the 4th. And Harrison swinging first pitch, jumps on that fastball, picks up his second hit of the ball game. Leadoff single for the Pirates second baseman. Brings up Jordy Mercer.
Fernando Tatis Jr., senior, 2 grand slams in 1 inning.
Yeah. Against the Dodgers, right?
Yes. Shanho Park, as I recall. That's a bad inning. Give up 2 grand slams yourself. Whew.
Padres sending a lot of cash, by the way, to the White Sox to cover Shields' deal. Our old friend Jerome Williams signed a minor league deal with the St. Louis Cardinals today.
Good guy.
Yeah, he dealt with an Achilles issue. Cardinals just signed him up. Mercer grounded out to Pujols in the second. So he's 0 for 1. Harrison with 8 stolen bases has been caught once. Off to a big lead again. A slide step and Mercer punches it to right. A base hit. First 2 have reached the start to 4th. Certainly a lot more comfortable swings today against Chacin than what we saw against the Tigers.
And the one thing to keep in mind, both pitchers coming off complete games. And when you look at what they've done so far this season, not a lot of length in games. So they've been in uncharted water by having back each one of these guys coming off a complete game. Locke, 1 complete game shutout. Chacin went 9 innings, giving up 1 run with 10 punch-outs, 114 pitches. That game after a complete game, if you haven't thrown that in a while, is not an easy thing to do.
114 pitches for Chacin. Most he's thrown in any one game. Chris Stewart swinging first pitch, lofts one out toward left center. Robinson moving over. He'll make the catch. The runners will stay at home. 1 down.
And even though we talk about pitch count, sometimes it means more, sometimes it doesn't mean the same. But when you're going 9 innings, so you're getting those extra pitches in between innings. So when you haven't gone past the 6th or 7th inning in most of your starts, all of a sudden you're into that 9th inning, there's a lot more pitches thrown. That's why Charles Nagy's keeping an eye on him right now to see if he's having that same crispness in his fastball, which we have not seen quite. Slider's been good, but location of his fastball hasn't been as good as we saw that last game against the Tigers, where he was fantastic.
Locke looking to bunt, takes a strike, yet a sacrifice in his first plate appearance. Last time Chacin got to that 114 mark or close to it was 115 pitches back in 2011. That was at a start at Cleveland, June of that year. He's hit 100 a couple times. But you can see where, to your point, where the crisp fastball and location may not be there because of that 114 pitch count.
That's what's been so impressive about Clayton Kershaw, how he's able to take that start where he goes 9 innings and take it the very next start and have that same kind of consistency with his pitches. But if you haven't done it in a while, it's difficult to have that same type of arm slot each and every pitch, hitting your spots.
That's one of those times through the rotation when you are happy you've got the extra day.
Yeah.
Locke bunts one. Perez thought about going to second, throws down Locke. Second sacrifice of the afternoon, puts runners at second and third with 2 outs now.
And your routine is thrown off too. Chacin probably, when he goes through his workout through this week, is anticipating being in the starter tomorrow. Goes through the routine of a bullpen session. You're lifting, you're running, with the anticipation of that extra day. All of a sudden, a couple days ago, you're told by your manager Mike Sosa that you're going to be pitching today. So it throws you off a little bit. Although his velocity is still very solid today. It's just the command with his fastball hasn't been quite there yet.
J-So, and a 2-2 tie comes up. He is grounded out twice. He's 0 for 2. A lot of early swinging against Chacin today.
Especially by J-So, a guy that we're used to seeing a bunch of pitches.
Interesting stance and approach for J-So as he waits for Chacin to come set. Right there, it almost looks like he's got a foot out of the box, you know?
Exactly.
Two balls, one strike.
And you would think with that stance there, you're still looking for something on the inner half of the plate. Open stance like that. 1 foot almost on the one line in the back, I mean the front foot on the back line.
Three balls, one strike with Andrew McCutchen on deck. Three one, and J-So works the walk, so they're loaded up. Second walk issued by Chacin to go with one strikeout. You got Andrew McCutchen coming to the plate. McCutchen 0 for 2 with a ground down and a strikeout.
About a big moment in the game, even though we're still pretty early in this game. This is a big moment for the Angels and Chacin against the former MVP of the National League.
No place to put him. First pitch, he lofts one foul and out of play. Harrison at third base, Mercer at second, J-So at first.
Starting with the slider, which he got him to swing and miss. His last at bat. They are aggressive, the Pirates. First pitch swinging.
Yeah. Team that leads the National League in hitting at 276 collectively. Second in on-base percentage, fourth in slugging. 0-1. 0-2. Go a little bit further out, right?
Yeah. And then if you're Cole Calhoun, you might take a step in from right field just in case he tries to flare one out that way. At least be ready for a baseball off the end of the bat.
Tried it.
I try it again.
Did you go fastball away there? That same plane?
I'm going to slider again. Because I think he's thinking he's going to try to sneak a fastball by him also. He's got a short enough swing. He can make contact on the fastball. More difficult on that sharp slider, I think.
Two balls, two strikes.
It's not close enough to plate to get him to chase. You have options now on a 2-2 pitch, not so on a 3-2 pitch. That's why that quick conversation now for Carlos Perez and Chacin.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Bases loaded for the Bucks at a 2-2 tie here in the 4th. This one's foul back.
And another slider. You would think you could try to sneak a fastball in or half, but it's so difficult to do that because if you miss out over the plate, McCutchen is super quick on the inside part of the plate.
Full count. And now the base runners get a head start. McCutchen, a .278 hitter in his career with the bases loaded.
He's had a pretty good bat here. He's laid off a couple real tough sliders. I think you have to challenge him with a fastball outer part of the plate.
Runners take off. 3-2, and that's hammered foul.
And that was a hanger out on the inner part of the plate. And you see how quick he is. Anything on that part of the plate. Now with a swing like that, Victor, I think McCutchen is susceptible to chasing something off the outside corner now, though. Because he was on that one. He wants to swing the bat. He's more apt to chase something a little bit off the plate.
Runners take off again. 3-2, and he lays off, and the Bucks are on top 3-2. Back-to-back walks for Chacin. This one with the bases loaded, though. Brings in a run. McCutchen gets credited with his 24th RBI.
It's a good visit here from Charles Nagy to just to slow him down, calm him down. He almost got him to swing at that slider just a little bit too far off the plate. Anything close enough, he's hacking at it, but it never really started on the corner. That kind of slider, you start right on the outside corner and break off, but when you start about a baseball off the corner, a very good hitter like McCutchen will not chase.
So it's Gregory Polanco coming up. Mercer now at third, Jaso at second, and McCutchen at first base. Polanco twice as grounded out, had a prolonged plate appearance in the 3rd inning before grounding out to Giavotella sharply. Petit shading Polanco toward the middle. Outfield straight around. Now time called again. The Angels did add Deolis Guerra to their bullpen, with Nick Tropiano going on the disabled list. At least they have the extra arm in the pen. First one is a little bit low. She's seen asking Bob Davidson for location.
Yeah, a little bit below the strike zone.
72 pitches now for Chacin. We're at the 4th inning. 43 strikes. He's walked 3, struck out 1. Allowed 6 hits. 1-1. And sharply hit right to Giavotella. But the Bucks retake the lead. That bases loaded walk to McCutchen gives the Bucks a 3-2 lead as we head to the top of the fifth. Baseball on Fox Sports West is brought to you by Subaru, making the world a better place. That's why they created Subaru Loves to Care. Subaru's commitment to a healthier community. By El Pollo Loco, 5 meals under 500 calories. Try them at El Pollo Loco. And by Infinity. Visit your local Southern California Infinity retailer for a test drive today. Top of the fifth inning, high above PNC Park in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Buccos on top 3-2. Carlos Perez, Gregorio Petit, Jhoulys Chacín face Jeff Locke. Left-hander has 1 strikeout, no walks, and 4 hits allowed. The count evens up on Carlos. He's 0 for 1 with a fly ball to right. One and 2. There's one play that is the head scratcher so far in this one is Yunel Escobar and a brain lock on a Calhoun fly ball to right field to turn into an inning-ending double play. With Trout on deck, Pujols to follow. As Carlos hits one out to straightaway center. McCutchen back, puts it away for the first out. And this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Los Angeles Angels. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Angels Baseball LP. Angels have hit into 2 double plays. Swinging at the off-speed pitch.
And he's looking to turn on something on the inner half. He does have some decent power on that part of the plate if it's inside. You know, right-handed batters, Locko's fastball changeup. He throws about 70% or so of both right-handed and left-handed batters' fastballs. He's got pretty good tailing and cutting action on his fastball.
Petit goes down swinging, 2 down. So here's Chacín is 1 for 1 with a single leading off the third. Eventually scored on the double by Escobar. This one's lined to second. Harrison has it, and the Angels go down in order. We enter the bottom of the 5th inning. Pirates leading at 3-2. Inning. Hey, the Angels will take on the Twins Wednesday, June 15th at 7:05. Fans in attendance receive a canvas beach backpack courtesy of Chevron Extra Mile while supplies last. Visit angels.com/promotions to purchase your tickets today. Marte, Young, and Harrison for the Pittsburgh Pirates here in the 5th inning. Chacin taking his time. Made the last out, lining out. But because he made the last out, pitcher gets a little bit extra time. Just had the pierogi race down on the warning track, and there was a San Jose Shark that came out and cross-checked the leader. Yeah, but then the other pierogies with sticks took care of the San Jose Shark.
Oh, there's the Stanley Cup.
Pens with a 2-0 lead. Marte with a double and a triple and a run scored. Drives this one out to center. It'll stay in the ballpark though. Swinging first pitch. 1 out.
He is super aggressive at the plate. Now 5 for 7 in the series. 2 doubles, a triple, a single, and a home run. Speaking of aggressive on the first pitch, same here.
Young 1 for 2 with a home run in the second, a pop up in the third. Two balls, no strikes. Halos starting some action in their bullpen now. Chacin, 77 pitches. Cam Bedrosian, first man up. Two and one.
Still a good sharp break on his slider.
Three one. Full count.
Catching the upper part of the strike zone, inside corner.
And he walked him. The 4th walk issued by Chacin. Josh Harrison, second baseman, coming up. A couple of singles. Jumped in that first pitch fastball in the 4th inning. And a leadoff single. He scored on the walk to McCutchen with the bases loaded.
4 walks today, but she ties a season high. Went back on May 4th against the Mets.
Pulling that trigger on that fastball. First pitch again.
Well, if you're Hector Santiago, you're watching this game right now. You make a mental note of that. They are swinging at the first pitch. You can use that against them. You can still go with the fastball, but just go about a half a baseball off the corners so you can get some quick outs.
This one out towards center, chasing Trout back, still moving back, and near the wall will make the catch. 2 down. Gong got all the way to the bag at second, just before the bag turned around, so he didn't have to retouch.
See that smile from Trout. He saw that baseball carry a lot further than he thought it might have, especially with that swing. See how strong Harrison is to be able to hit a ball that far.
So here's Mercer, who had a base hit to right field in this last at bat. 1 for 2. Halos in the top of the 6th inning. He'll have 9, 1 and 2 coming up. Robinson, Escobar, and Calhoun. The Joes are ready to go, just kind of looking on now. So this inning plays out. This one pulled toward third, backhanded by Escobar. He'll go the short way, and they force out Gong to end the inning. 5 good played. Pirates leading at 3-2.
Brought to you by Ram Trucks. We talk about 2 of the premier players in the game and similar approaches. A little higher leg kick, but the landing area, clearing the path, both almost the exact same spot. Super quick bat speed for both Trout and McCutchen to generate power to all fields. Landing area the same, just a little bit higher leg kick for Trout, but landing in the exact same spot. That's why they are 2 of the best players in all of baseball. And great guys, too. Good ambassadors for the game of baseball.
Yeah, there's no question about that. Fun to watch both of those guys play the game. Kutcher picking up the bases loaded walk in the 4th inning to give the Pirates their current lead. Shane Robinson will lead things off here against Jeff Locke. The lefty who has 2 strikeouts, no walks, 4 hits allowed. He's thrown just 58 pitches. That's the 59th. It's a strike, according to Bob Davidson. Or maybe they're saying it's not. I thought. So it's 1 ball, no strikes. I could have sworn I saw Bob Davidson ring up the right arm. And it doesn't matter. This one toward the corner. Arte pulls up. This one is gone. Shane Robinson with a big fly. Tied this game up at 3. His first as an Angel.
Sugar Shane Robinson turns on a pitch. Inside part of the plate, brought his hands in very well. So we look at this swing from Robinson, how he brings his hands in and then able to get the barrel of the bat. Opens, clears the hip. Turns on that one right down the line here at PNC Park. Ties it up with that swing of the bat. And Shane Robinson, who's hit the ball well here also at PNC Park.
Escobar shoots one to right field, so back-to-back hits for the Angels to start the 6th inning.
And multi-hit game once again for Escobar. Double, single. first home run for Shane Robinson since 2013. He's a member of the St. Louis Cardinals, his 6th career home run, but 3rd hit in this series so far.
Here comes the pitching coach, Ray Searage. Hughes, first man up. A lot of conversation here. The Angels have Cole Calhoun coming to the play with a man on. 3-3 tie here in the 6th inning. Cole 1 for 2. Home run in the 1st inning. A fly ball to right. That was in the 3rd. .296 average against left-handed pitching. Skies this one out toward right center field. McCutchen drifting back on it. Will make the catch. Escobar tags and stays at first. 1 down.
And McCutchen got behind that baseball a lot better than what we've seen in the last 2 days. He'll get himself in good throwing position.
There's Trout, hitless so far today. Struck out in the 1st inning. A fly ball right in the 4th. And that is hammered out toward left field. Marte moving back on it. And will reach up at the warning track, make the catch just in front of that 379 mark.
Spins around a couple times to run that one down on the warning track. Told you that at some point he was going to jump on a first pitch. And he did. It just missed hitting that one out. I've seen a lot of pitches in the first 2 at-bats. Just missed a 2-run home run there. Tell you what, this outfield is not an easy outfield to play. All the different angles you have to take as an outfielder.
Here's Albert, 1 for 2 with a single. Escobar still at first.
Albert may be forced to hit a ball here to the right side of the field. I would imagine a lot of off speed, whether it's changeups down and away or fastballs away.
Cam Pedroia warming up in the bullpen. Looks like he's warming up to come in the bottom of the 6th. .2-0 count now. Very short lead for Escobar at first. Albert fouls it off.
Another all-speed pitch away. Locke behind in the count against right-handed batters. 29% of the time he will throw his changeup.
Two balls, 2 strikes. That pitch up and out of the strike zone. Robinson with a leadoff home run to tie things up at 3. Albert pulls one foul.
Came inside with a fastball. Surprised he tried that. Almost paid the price.
Pirates playing Pujols to pull. The shift is on. They call on the right side. Jaso holding Escobar at first. Still a manageable pitch count for Locke at 69. Had a couple of quick outs after that single by Escobar. Calhoun and Trout both jumping first pitch. Both deep fly ball outs. Ground ball back to the mound. That's all the Angels will get. Shane Robinson, his first home run as a Halo. We head to the bottom of the 6th inning. It's a 3-3 tie.
I'm Patrick O'Neill, broadcasting from the Allegheny River, quite possibly the highlight of my career. Stick around after this game for Angels Live, joined by Jose Mota for a complete recap of today's game. Wouldn't you know it, I forgot my press pass again, so I may be stuck out here with my fishing pole, going for some walleye, some northern pike, or maybe even a trophy trout. Come on, Mike, hit me one out here to the river. If I can't make it inside, Victor, Gooby, you got the post game? Can you help us out? Or?
He looks fantastic. Quite comfortable out there, too.
Absolutely, we got the post game show.
Oh, yeah.
Why not?
Yes.
Better make it inside, though.
Whoever knew that Patrick O'Neill was a fisherman?
Yeah. 4. In and out. Who's in, who's out. Jhoulys Chacin is out. Cam Bedrosian takes over the mound. 21st game, 1-0 record, a 2.08 ERA. He pitched last night, went 1 inning and struck out 2. So back-to-back games for him. Pirates setting up 8, 9, and 1. Stewart, Locke, and Jaso.
Patrick looks so good out there in the river.
Man. Wonder why he was going so light in the workout room today, because he knew he had to get out on the kayak.
Yes.
Up and down the Allegheny.
Yes.
Chris Stewart, the catcher, takes a strike. Locke, the pitcher, on deck. Stewart with a walk and a fly ball to left is 0 for 1. Chacin today, 5 innings, 6 hits, including a home run. 1 punch out, 4 walks, 3 walks all earned. Bouncer towards short. Petit has to charge it quickly. They get Stewart for the first out.
Good throwing arm for Petit, able to get that slow roller against Stewart running down the line. What a nice job filling in for Andrelton Simmons in the shortstop position, who may not be that far away himself from coming back.
Could be going down to rehab soon. Locke, a couple of sacrifice bunts today. No official AB. 2 for 19 this season. One ball, no strikes. One and one. Just blows it right by Locke. 1-2.
Good location, upper part of the strike zone with that 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
Two balls, two strikes. John Jaso on deck. Couple of scores in the American League. Houston leading Oakland 4-3. That game's in the bottom of the 5th. Texas will host Seattle later tonight. Locke goes down swinging. Houston playing better baseball of late. Boston leading Toronto 4-3. That game's in the 5th. White Sox leading the Tigers 2-1, also in the 5th. Tampa Bay over the Twins 5-3. Bottom of 5. Here it's a 3-3 tie. 2 outs in the 6th inning. Jaso, 2 ground outs and a walk. That's the walk that I'm sure Chacin would like to have back. They retired Jaso in his first 2 at-bats on weak ground balls, one to the mound and one to Pujols. And eventually walked him. Had to face McCutchen with the bases loaded, and he ended up walking McCutchen.
Yeah, they're a long at-bat there against McCutchen.
Backdoor breaking ball misses. Evens a count up. Halos in the 7th. Have Giovitello, Perez, and Petit coming up. Figure this will be a 1-inning outing for Bedrosian, as it usually is. 2 balls, 1 strike. Late on the fastball. 2-2. Certainly a lot different John Jaso than early in his career with the Rays and the A's.
And he's looking to do damage on the inner half of the plate and turn on it. David Freese has been playing some first base for the Pirates, likely unavailable in this series.
A full count. McCutchen on deck. Cam's ready with 2 outs and a full count. And he walks Jaso. A 2-out walk. And now you get to face Andrew McCutchen. Charles Nagy now going to come out and pay a visit. Jose Alvarez getting ready in the Angels bullpen.
Give him a little more time just in case McCutchen would get on to face Polanco.
Quick visit by Nagy. Oh for 2. Bases loaded walk, picking up in the RBI. His 24th. Breaking ball low. Blows the fastball right by him.
That's the thing about Cam, he does have some good velocity, and especially upper part of the strike zone with his fastball. It's all important that he's able to throw his breaking ball for strikes or get some hitters to swing at it, because then they can look for that pitch and get the fastball by him.
Lifted foul and out of play. 1-2. Jason working the 2-out walk, standing over at first base. Cutchin, a called strike 3, and we will head to the 7th at a 3-3 tie. This telecast of Angels baseball on Fox Sports West is brought to you by Energy Upgrade California. It's easy to stay golden at energyupgradeca.org, and by your Southern California Toyota dealers.
And we are tied at 3 here in the 7th inning. Johnny Giavotella going to lead off. Jeff Locke, who's been solid today. Quality start, 6 innings, 6 hits allowed, 3 earned runs, no walks. Coming off his first career shutout last time out, a 3-hitter for Locke.
Gave up the leadoff home run to Robinson in the 6th inning and then settled down. First one to Johnny, in there for a strike. Giavotella, Perez, and Petit for the Angels here in the 7th inning. Johnny shoots one up the middle. It's a leadoff single. First hit of the ball game, so he's 1 for 3, and the Angels get that leadoff man on board for the second straight inning.
It's been his best approach where he can use that middle part of the field for Giavitello. Didn't try to turn on it. Stay back, right up the middle.
Carlos Perez 0 for 2 with a couple of fly ball outs. Check in on Giavitello again.
Almost just to see if Carlos would square around to bunt. A lot of times you'll see that. That's a call a lot of times from the manager.
Bunts it foul.
Hyundai key for this game. The voice within, again, telling yourself to stay back, use the middle of the field, especially for a guy like Locke, who has a very good changeup, who's throwing that more as the game has progressed. A lot more fastballs early on, changeups now.
Gong playing it over at third base. Jaso holding Giavitello at first. Bunt back toward the mound. Good enough to advance Giavitello to second. So the sacrifice for Perez. First out of here in the 7th.
Well done by Carlos. Getting some high fives as he gets back to the dugout. Especially in a close game like this. Guy in scoring position. Petit, who's been pretty good in these spots. In that last time up, really expanded his strike zone, swinging at some off-speed pitches in the dirt. See if he can make that adjustment now.
0 for 2 with a pop-up and a strikeout. Pitcher spot due up next. C.J. Cron has come out to the on-deck circle. Off the plate.
C.J. Cron is getting a good view of these pitches from Jeff Locke. He's almost in the left-handed batter's box, that close.
There's the 1-1. It's tight. 2 balls, 1 strike. .77 pitches now for Locke. 56 have been strikes. 2 punch outs, no walks. Going back-to-back starts now with no walks allowed. On the verge now, though. At 3 balls, 1 strike. The Pirates have action in their bullpen. Neftali Feliz, the former Ranger. .3-1 pulled toward third. Young's got it. 2 down. Borderline pitch too on Gregorio.
He tried to bring his hands inside of that baseball, a little bit off the inside corner.
C.J. Cron 2 for 4 on the season as a pinch hitter.
be a quick conversation of what they want to try to do against C.J. Cron, go over a scouting report, or given Locke the option, do you want to go after him or Shane Robinson, who just hit a home run against you? Or it could have been my favorite conversation. Just don't give him anything good to hit.
I think that's covered in so much positivity.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When you tell us a pitcher that.
Just don't give him anything good to hit. You know what I was thinking about? He's a good guy. I'm thinking about throwing him right down the middle of the plate.
First one to Cron. He takes low. Halos now 1 for 3 with men in scoring position this afternoon. Go ahead run standing at second. 2-0.
You have to have some patience here if you're C.J. Cron. This doesn't necessarily mean he's going to challenge you with a fastball. I mentioned before, a lot of changeups behind in the count.
Gets underneath this one. Chase the off-speed pitch. Marte is there. Halos are done here in the 7th. Stretch time at Pittsburgh. Still tied at 3. Let's take a look at the Honda upcoming schedule. Tomorrow is the finale of this 3-game set. Garrett Cole on the mound for the Pirates. The Angels bump up Hector Santiago to make the start.
That should be a good pitching matchup. Cole from Orange Lutheran High School and UCLA, and Hector out there to try to get that power fastball, especially against a club like the Pirates that are so aggressive, swinging at the first pitch. It should work into Hector's hands as far as especially elevating that fastball into some easy outs.
Fernando Salas comes on in relief here at the bottom of the 7th. 25th game, Fernando. 2-1 with a 2.45 ERA. He's going to be facing Polanco, Marte, and Gung. It's 3, 4, and 5 for the Bucks. That is hit high and deep to right field, and that is gone, and the Bucks are back on top 4-3. Polanco jumping on that first pitch. It's his 9th home run of the season.
And we just got done talking about how aggressive they are. And if you're throwing a fastball, anything that close to the strike zone, middle part or inner part of the plate, it's going to make a pass like that when he jumps on it. The baseball was hit very well by Polanco, his 9th, season 37th RBI.
Salas allows his 4th home run of the season. Marte grounds this one foul. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. Marte 2 for 3, double and a triple. Hit a fly ball to center.
You said that baseball traveled 451 feet.
First appearance for Salas since Tuesdays. They went an inning and a third, giving up a run and a home run. Back up the middle. Giavotella to his right has it. Off balance throw and throws it up the line. Gets away, and that'll allow Marte to go to second base. Curious why Pujols didn't go after it unless he didn't see the ball.
And that throw from the outfield grass from Giavotella. A lot of times as a first baseman, you try to get off the base to prevent that extra base being taken. And right back up the middle, Giavotella quickly gets rid of the baseball. It's the 22nd time that Salas has faced the Cardinals in his career.
Assume it's a hit and an error for Marte. That's what it is. Johnny gets charged with his 2nd error of the season.
Against the Salas 22 times against the Pirates in his career.
Gung worked the walk at his last at bat. Nobody out here at the bottom of the 7th. 1-2.
It's been a back and forth game this entire game with the Angels with the early lead on a Cole Calhoun home run in the 1st. And the Pirates taking lead. The Angels tie it up. Pirates take the lead. Angels tie it up. Now Pirates again with the lead.
Out to right field. Cole will make the catch. Marte staying at home. 1 down. There's Josh Harrison coming up. He's 2 for 3 with a couple of singles.
And he's been extremely aggressive also on that first pitch.
A couple of singles and a run scored. Marte at 2nd. 4-3 Pittsburgh. Bottom of the 7th. Harrison, the All-Star a couple of seasons ago. At 287 for the Bucks last year. He's had good numbers this season with men at scoring position. 340 batting average. Just over 340. 2-0. There's your strike. This one hits sharply and past Petit. Marte will come in to score, make it 5-3 Pittsburgh. A 3-hit game for Harrison.
A solid player who puts the ball in play often, especially lower part of the strike zone. Once again, lower part of the strike zone, gets the barrel of the bat on that and hits that one well. In this game, a .308 career hitter in interleague play. 3 more hits for him today.
Fernando Salas not missing many bats, I should say, today. 3 hits. One of which is the home run to Polanco. There's Jordy Mercer. Pitch out, nothing's going on.
Harrison with 8 stolen bases in 9 attempts.
Two balls, no strikes. 17 pitches thrown by Salas so far. Angels have action in their bullpen. Harrison started to go and stopped, and now Salas behind a 3-0. McMalley's up, lefty. Dale Esguerra called up. Tropiano on the DL. And a 4-pitch walk now. So 2 on with 1 out. Chris Stewart, the catcher, coming up. Here comes Charles Nagy.
It's something you don't see from Fernando all that much as far as walks. Just 5 walks coming into this game. Unusual. I mentioned those numbers as far as appearances versus the Pirates for Salas, though. His ERA career-wise against the Pirates in the game 4.43.
Pitcher spot is due up next. Matt Joyce has come out to the on deck circle, but it'll be Chris Stewart to face Salas here with 1 out. Harrison at second base, Mercer at first.
Stewart is grounded into 2 double plays so far this season.
Trying to butt his way on. It'll hug the third base line and go foul.
I think you notice about down the chalk down each line. It's very close to the infield grass. It's like the path for a base stealer trying to steal from first to second. How close that path from the runner to the grass it is in the infield. So once it hugs along that line, it's going to stay fair. But once it goes to that left of the chalk line, it's going to roll foul.
No balls, 2 strikes on Stewart. 0 for 2 today with a walk. Jhoulys Chacín got the start today. The injured Nick Tropiano is placed on a 15-day disabled list with discomfort in his shoulder. Chacín jumped up from yesterday's start to today. Went 5 innings, gave up 3 runs on 6 hits. But Drojan a scoreless inning, including a couple of strikeouts, and now Salas has allowed 2 here in the 7th. Stewart lines one out to left field. Robinson is there. 2 down. And Joyce will bat here. And with Joyce getting introduced, Mike Scioscia comes out, and we'll go to the bullpen. Bring on Greg Mahle. So we've got ourselves a pitching change here in the 7th inning. Pirates have scored twice to retake the lead. They're up 5-3. Seventh, 2 outs. Jeff Locke, the starter, on the right there, talking with Garrett Cole. Locke, 82 pitches, 7 innings, 7 hits, 2 strikeouts, 3 runs, and he gave up a home run to Cole Calhoun back in the 1st. Greg Mahle takes over on the mound here with runners at 1st and 2nd, trying to get that 3rd out and get the Angels back into the dugout. Mahle pitching for the 2nd straight night. His 22nd game. 1-0 and a 3.78 ERA.
Had a solid season for the Pirates. .324 batting average. More likely will be very aggressive on the first pitch, hoping for a fastball from Mahle.
7 for 22 as a pinch hitter with 3 home runs. Swinging first pitch, fouls it off. 10 RBIs as a pinch hitter. Had a rough go of it with the Angels last year. No balls, 2 strikes.
It's a good slider there from Malley from that arm angle. And he throws a lot of fastballs from that arm angle. It's good to be able to throw that slider and be able to throw it for a strike. Now you can expand the strike zone.
One, two. Joyce hammers one to straightaway center field. Trout going back, and he's done it again. A pinch hit home run for Matt Joyce opens this one up for Pittsburgh.
Mislocation. And Malley against Matt Joyce. And you mentioned it, Victor, how well he has done in that pinch hitting role. Out over the plate. And some tremendous lift to dead center field for a 3-run home run.
Eight to 3 Pittsburgh. Here's Jaso. Eighth man to bat here in the 7th inning. So Salas gets charged with 4 runs in his 2/3 of an inning. 4th pinch hit of the season for Matt Joyce. Three-one count.
Pretty amazing though for Matt Joyce. 4 pinch hit home runs. Season already.
Ground ball back to the mound. Malley has it. The damage done for the Bucks. They strike for 5 here in the 7th. We head to the 8th. The Angels trailing 8-3. Take a look at the in-game box score. Not a whole lot for the Angels. Cole Calhoun did have a home run back in the 1st inning, and Mel Escobar with a multi-hit game, but besides that, unable to figure out Jeff Locke, who went 7 innings, gave up 3 runs on 7 hits, had 2 strikeouts and no walks, and now the Bucks go to the bullpen as the left-hander Tony Watson takes over on the mound. 23rd game for the lefty, 1-1 record at 2.38 ERA.
All-Star back in 2014. Fastball, firm fastball from the left side, 91 to 96. Slider, solid changeup.
Pirates 9th round pick in 2007. Pitched a lot of games for Clint Hurdle over the last couple of seasons. 77 games last year, 78 in that All-Star season of 2014. Sean Rodriguez takes over at first base. A double switch. 9-1-2 for the Angels. Robinson, Escobar, and Calhoun. Robinson 1 for 2 with a home run. 2 balls, no strikes. Three ball, no strike count now.
That's all you're looking for, some gift runners here to give yourself a shot.
Watson had worked 11 straight scoreless, total of 11 innings before allowing a run. 1 inning taking the loss Wednesday against the Marlins. A 4-pitch walk to start the 8th. You follow Angels baseball live with MLB.com at Bat App. Stay up to the moment at any moment with game day, live game video highlights, StatCast news, and more. Download MLB.com at Bat, #1 app for live baseball on your phone or tablet. Here's Yunel Escobar, 2 for 3 with a double, a single, and an RBI. Watson listed at 6'4". 31-year-old, University of Nebraska. Ahead of the count now at 0-2. Foul and out of play. 3 runs, 7 hits, 1 error, 2 left on for the Angels. 8 runs, 10 hits, 8 left on for Pittsburgh.
Well, the outfield here for the Pirates, they play straight up on almost every batter.
Yeah. One-two count. When you get an outfield like that, as athletic as they are, they cover a lot of ground.
Yeah. They go left to right very well, go in and back on baseballs.
That's out towards center field. Jason McCutchen back, still going back. It's over his head. Robinson had to hold up for a second. He's at third base being waved in. He's going to come in to score. A 3-hit game for Escobar, and it's 8-4 Pittsburgh.
Couldn't quite get back far enough on that baseball, though. Good shot, second RBI, second double. Game for Escobar, 3rd hit, like you mentioned, Victor. Going inside with a fastball, drifted out over the plate. Got let her hide. He crushed that ball to center field. McCutchen going back on that, couldn't quite track that one down. One hops the wall and an RBI double.
Looked like Yunel thought that McCutchen was going to get there and make the catch.
Second run that Robinson has scored today.
This is flared beyond the reach of Mercer into center. Escobar comes in to score. 2 runs plated for the Angels here in the 8th. And it's a 3-run deficit now.
I wonder if Clint Hurdle might go down to the bullpen himself right now. Went right back on that, stayed back on it. Line drive into center field, left center field, driving in another run. 2 RBI game for Cole Calhoun. Home run. Now that's single RBI.
Pitching coach Ray Searage back out. Give guys in the bullpen time to get loose. A walk, a double, and a single. If Phillies already up earlier, getting ready. First fastball in for a strike. Trout 0 for 3. A strikeout, 2 fly ball outs.
I think it's real interesting now with this part of the lineup up for the Angels with Trout followed by Pujols.
Got a fastball at 93, a little bit late on it.
Pretty much the heart of the plate. Mentioned that batting average on high pitches this season for Trout, coming in the game at 417. Also 351 on outside pitches. That's why they're trying to stay inside.
One, two. Inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Pujols on deck. Calhoun picking up his 28th RBI with his base hit. As Trout skies one on the left side. Just got underneath it. Jordy Mercer, the shortstop, calling for it. 1 down.
That was up there a long way. Anytime you see a hitter hit a ball that high, he just got underneath it.
Albert 1 for 3. He's singled back in the 4th. Off the plate. Dale Esguerra continues to warm up for the Angels. Looks like he'll pitch the bottom of the 8th. 1-1. Breaks his bat, and it's a single to center. Barrel ends up touching the bag at third base. Misplayed by McCutchen. Now Cole will take the extra base. McCutchen commits his first error of the season.
I was going to say that doesn't happen often with him out in center field.
Here comes Clint Hurdle.
Right back up the middle, breaks the bat, but gives you a chance now, bringing up the tying run at the plate. An error made, and Cole able to get to third base.
Pitching change. We are in the 8th inning. Halos down 8-5. Pittsburgh Pirates 8-5. Bucks lead it with 1 out, runners at first and third. 25th game for Phillies, 1-0 record at 2.75 ERA. Obviously the Angels with a lot of experience against the right-hander, former closer of the Texas Rangers. He's 3-0 in his career against the Angels with 16 saves, carrying a 1.60 ERA. He's going to face Johnny Giavotella with Calhoun at third and Pujols at first base. Johnny 0 for 2 in his career against Phillies. No Angels player has more than 2 hits in their career against the right-hander. No home runs. First one in for a strike.
And Phillies got that fastball back. It's around 93 to 97 range. Slider, quite a few of them, and an occasional changeup.
Pitched in 30 games with the Tigers last year. Oh, it missed outside. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. .40 saves in 2010, 32 saves the following season, 2011. Some arm problems kind of derailed him. Breaking ball.
Yeah, that bounce back between closer and then starter. Good count now for Giavotella to do some damage. Again, you're a line drive hitter. Think line drive up the middle. Mistake, then turn on it. Think base hit first and foremost for Johnny Giavotella. He's hit in safely 19 of his last 21 games.
2-1. Johnny fouls it back. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Two ground ball to the right side. Harrison comes charging in. They'll get the Pujols out at second. Run will score. Giavotella credit with an RBI, and it's 8-6 Pirates. So 2 outs now to man at first. Here's Carlos, 0 for 2 with a sacrifice bunt.
Carlos on occasion will cheat in on a fastball. He can turn on a fastball in the inner half.
Pirates putting 5 runs on the board in the bottom of the 7th. The Angels answering here in the 8th with 3 so far. This one's fouled off. No balls and a strike. Guerra no longer loosening for the Angels. Instead, it's Joe Smith. Now that the Angels have drawn within 2. Off speed pitch. Oh, he really pulled the string on that one.
Yeah, it was a pretty good slider. There's a lot of fastball, especially from that same plane going to the outer part of the plate.
1-2, hit out toward left center field. McCutchen's not going to get there. It's headed toward the notch. Giavatello's going to come in to score. It's an RBI double by Carlos Perez, and the Angels are down 1. It's 8-7 Pittsburgh.
Well, this has been impressive by the offense so far in this inning. Talked about on that inner half of the plate, Carlos can turn on it. He certainly did, right towards that 410 sign. His 8th double, 14th RBI. So he's able to get those hands in and got that barrel of the bat on that inside part of the plate. Big part of that yard. One hops that 410 sign.
Called the North Shore Notch. Brendan Ryan will come in to pitch run for Perez. He represents the tying run. And Jeffrey Marte is going to bat here for Gregorio Petit.
.400 batting average with a home run, 3 RBI for Marte. Also with 3 doubles.
Marte's never faced Phillies. First pitch fastball in for a strike. Oh, what pitch? That's out toward left field. Marte has a beat on it, and he'll put it away for the 3rd out. The Angels score 4 here in the top of the 8th inning. We head to the bottom of the frame. It's 8-7 Pittsburgh. Down now 8-7. Now maybe Patrick O'Neill getting ready for the postgame show.
I don't know if he can find his way back.
That's an unconfirmed report.
Yes.
Jim Bandy comes into the ballgame. He'll take over behind the plate. We assume he's going to be in the number 8 spot. Joe Smith on a relief here as Brendan Ryan takes over at shortstop. Joe trying to keep this a 1-run deficit. Smith on the season, 1-3 and a 4.07 ERA. This will be his 25th game. 16 strikeouts, 9 walks at 24 in the 3rd innings. Two, 3, and 4 for the Bucks here in the 8th inning with McCutchen, Polanco, and Marte. One ball with strike. Andrew McCutchen 0 for 3. A couple of strikeouts. Did draw a base loaded walk in the 4th. 3 balls, 1 strike. And a 4 walk on 5 pitches actually to lead off the 8th inning.
Been a while since Joe's been out there on the mound. A little rusty there as far as location.
Last night the Pirates were having troubles with the walks. Today it's the Angels. 7th walk issued by the Angels pitching staff.
I believe McCutchen may be thinking about trying to steal a base himself. Joe Smith, a very good pickoff move. The Angels in general very quick as far as pickoff moves. 14 pickoffs this year.
Polanco homer to open up the 7th. His one and only hit of the game. Takes a strike. Pickoff. Brendan Ryan applies the tag. 1 out.
And right on cue, another pickoff. 15th the season for Angel pitchers. McCutchen thinking Joe Smith's going home. Instead, Joe throws over the first base for a 1-6-3 putout.
So base is clear, 1 out now. Here's Polanco. No balls, 2 strikes. Missed inside. Called strike 3 on the outside part of the plate. 2 down.
Well, Polanco didn't like that call. Backdoor slider. See where that baseball was located according to our Fox tracks. Again, Jet Bandy was set there to be able to catch that baseball. Yes, it looked like a strike, but it went around the back part of the plate. It was out of the strike zone.
Need to get Patrick O'Neill to bring some of those kayak oars in here for these guys to hit that pitch. It's been that way on both sides. Starling Marte, the left fielder, up. 3-hit game for him. Single, double, triple. Mark Melanson, the closer, getting ready. Halos in the 9th have 8, 9, and 1. We figure it's Bandy, Robinson, and Escobar. One pitch, way outside.
Fastball count for Marte, and Joe has a very good slider, so you got to be careful. You're going to try to sneak a fastball in the inner half against him. Good idea to go with a slider there.
Full count. And he walked him. That'll bring up Jung Ho Kang. Kang today 1 for 3, homering back in the second inning. He's homered at both games of the series so far. Marte takes off to throw it out of second base, and it's a stolen base.
Young ended up tumbling away from the base, the plate. Stolen base number 18, just got his hand in just for the tag, and not keeping that tag on him. I say Giavitello keeping the tag on him, but the hand stayed on the base. 18th stolen base.
Foul back. 1 ball, 1 strike. One. That hit him. Just grazed his elbow. So the bottom of the 8th continues here. 2 walks, a strikeout, hit by pitch. Now you're going to face Josh Harrison, who has 3 hits in the ballgame.
Runs in there in that thigh knee area. And this part of the lineup, Marte, Kang, and then Kang, I should say, and Harrison have been very, very effective for the Pirates today. Again, Neville's going out along with Mike Sosa to check on Joe Smith.
He had some issues. You mentioned that he's been shut down, unavailable. So they're checking on him here.
Looks like Joe's going to try to finish off this inning. He's had some hamstring issues, tightness in his hamstring, and the follow through most times for him.
First and second, 2 outs. 8-7 Pittsburgh. Here's Harrison. The first one is down and away. Took something off. Evens a count at a ball and a strike. One. Bouncer foul. 1-2 from Smith. That one's inside. Evens up the count at 2-2. Joe helped out by his own pickoff of McCutchen. 15th the Angels have had this year, easily leading Major League Baseball. Some movement now in the Angels pen. Slider, and this is pulled to third. Glove by Escobar. And Smith hangs on and keeps this a 1-run deficit. We head to the 9th. Pittsburgh leading at 8-7. This 2 weeks, the greatest golfers in the world converge on the historic Oakmont Country Club for the 116th U.S. Open Championship. Live coverage begins Thursday, June 16th on FS1 and continues through the final round on Sunday, June 19th on Fox, where you can watch the entire tournament live on Fox Sports Go. Just down the road. Mark Melancon, the closer, comes in. 26th game. 0-1 record at 2.01 ERA. He's going to face 8, 9, and 1.
51 saves last season, which was the Pirates' record. He also led the majors. His fastball, 90-94. Doesn't throw a lot of fastballs, but he does throw a ton of cut fastballs. Also will throw a curveball and change up. 66% of his pitches are cut fastball. He's only allowed 1 home run this season.
Rafael Ortega is going to pinch hit for Joe Smith. He'll be followed by Shane Robinson and Yunel Escobar. Melancon, a 2-time All-Star, 2013, as well as last year, led the National League saves, 51 of them.
Well, the Angels have scored 7 or more runs for the 12th time in the last 22 games. Did that 4 times in the first 33 of the season. Looking for some more here. At least 1 to tie it up.
Ortega hitting .245. 3 doubles, a home run, 9 RBIs. 2 for 3 as a pinch hitter with a run batted in. Ground ball to the right side. That's Harrison, the second baseman. 1 down. Shane Robinson, a 1 for 2 game with a home run, a ground out, a walk. Scored twice. late on the fastball. Home run for Shane, first as an Angel. First since 2013, 6th overall of his career. Melanson taking over for Phillies, who went 2/3 of an inning, gave up a hit. Watson was charged with 4 runs, all earned in his 1/3 of an inning. Line to second, 2 down.
Good swing by Shane, but right at Harrison was playing in the exact same spot where he hit the baseball.
So the Halos down to the last out here. That big inning in the bottom of the 7th, coming back to haunt 8 men to the plate, 5 runs scored. As Malley gave up the pinch hit home run to Matt Joyce, the capper in that inning. A 3-run shot. Escobar bounces this one weakly to short. Mercer has it, and the Angels drop game 2 by the final of 8-7.
That middle part of the lineup today for the Pirates is big once again, led by Polanco Marte. Good swings throughout for the Pirates. Got blocked through the ball very well also in 7 very good innings. Melanson picks up the save as the Pirates even up this series against the Halos.
Well, last night it was all Angels offense. The offense came through once again, especially late, but just not enough as the Bucks take game 2 by the final of 8-7. Stick around. Angels Live postgame is coming up next.